Well, the idea of today's open meeting was to talk about the changing formats of film watching, film consumption generally, different sorts of streaming services, don't know, regimes of film watching, film going, whatever you like to call this. This is quite a big topic to discuss, of course, and we can start it from any angle. And I would like to start maybe from a very personal perspective. As there are quite many people joining us today, which I'm very happy about, I would like, if you want to well, to start and share your story, your opinion. Can you please introduce yourself and say a few words what you do cinema-wise? Well, do you make films? Do you write about films? And then just continue so that we could get to know each other. So what I wanted to say is that I remember like many years ago when I myself started, when I got interested in film, when I was getting films from DVD rentals. It was many years ago, and the situation changed now when I don't get any DVDs. I don't even almost don't download any films. I usually watch them on streaming services, whether these are don't know, series or festival programs like movie streaming service. So the situation dramatically changed. So I would like to ask you, how has the situation changed for you within years? Have you noticed this change? Yeah, the floor is open. So will anyone would like to start? Vlad, could you please break the ice and be the first one? Because
just coughing a little. So as for me, I think that my film consumption maybe or something like that started from some torrent services and torrent sites and some pirate-based downloading films and TV series and even anime, Japan animation series. And now I think that it's quite easier to consume, to watch films online, and moreover, if you have not a big screen, of course, but something that may be equal to some cinema experience. And I noticed that I don't have a need to visit cinema theaters. And I think that this shift from cinema theaters to home watching is quite critical for me, and it totally changes the way I understand and the way I how can I say it, the way I treat movie watching as a process. So that's not a problem, I think, but this is quite an interesting change that I continue to think about.
But how has it changed your experience of film watching?
I think that I don't have a need to be in the movie theater. So I like watching films alone. I will like watching films with my friends. And I think that this way of watching films home makes it a little easier to discuss films. For example, if you are in the cinema theater, you have to be very quiet or not be very quiet. If you like on some cheesy film with a popcorn or a Coca-Cola or something like that. So when you're home, you watch differently. You watch maybe less. You're maybe less immersed into the movie. You can shift your opinion between a movie or your screen, your phone screen. And I think that it you can discuss movie while you're watching it, and this is much more comfortable for me, I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone would like to share their story? Nobody wants to talk.
Hello everyone. My name is Yana Sad. I'm a film director, and I'm finished Moscow Film School. Actually, I love watching movies in cinemas. But now I live in Germany, and it's difficult to watch on Deutsch, German language. And actually, normally I'm watching films via Vkontakte. And sometimes I have some links from my colleagues or from my students from Moscow Cinema, and we have some strange films by these links, and maybe this way.
Well, nice to meet you, Yana. The same sort of question I asked Vlad, I would like to address to you this time. How has it changed your experience? Because, well, of course, watching films in the cinema is absolutely different from watching it from on your screen. What makes it so special for you to watch it in the cinema?
How it changed watching in the cinema?
Yeah, well, when you switched your regular habit of going to the cinema to online streaming, whether this is Vkontakte or whatever other resource you're using, how has it changed for you? Or you just don't really mind? It's okay, you don't mind watching it on your laptop. And what makes going to the cinema so special for you?
I really love watching films in cinemas, and I'm looking for opportunity to go to the cinema. For example, I was at Berlinale Film Festival, and I was in cinemas. And when I don't have opportunity to watch and use the streaming outlets, I don't know. I prefer cinemas.
Yeah, sure, I understand that. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Anyone else would like to join and say a few words?
I could say some words. Hi, my name is Slava Kalisidis. I'm just assisting Yana when she's doing films.
Mhm.
And normally I work in the theater and with the theater projects. But dealing with the film experience, this also started for me from torrents from my school time, and then it was the cinema in St. Petersburg, Rodina, and this was something special because you couldn't actually find that time 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you couldn't yet find all these really special and art house films in torrents or in internet, and Vkontakte wasn't so widely downloaded with the films, and it was really special to find something really interesting in this sort of cinemas, and you could also watch it with the subtitles. That was really unusual and special also, and but for the last years, I think it changed because of my location. I worked for 7 years in Yekaterinburg, and there was no cinema, such kind of cinemas like the Rodina. So it was really difficult to find something in the cinemas, something special, something interesting. So it pushed me to the laptop back, and living in Germany, in a not very big city, also there is no opportunity to find some cinema that could offer such interesting and various source of films that could be really catchy and interesting. And it's also a problem to, in Germany at least, to make films with the subtitles. They are almost dubbed, and that's also causes some problems. So it's really circumstances that push me, for example, to the laptop, and thanks God it's still available to find something good, and it's more widely reachable with subtitles in various languages, and it's just wonderful.
I was just curious. Well, thank you very much, and nice to meet you. I was just curious about actually how it works in Germany, because I heard that, well, Germany is very strict about downloading and pirating. You know, like you cannot really download torrents, can't you?
We don't downloading. We
Right.
watching online, and we use VPN, of course.
That's clever.
God bless contacting.
Okay. Right. Would anyone else like to join us?
I'm going to try.
Yes, please.
Okay. Hello, my name is Oleg. I'm from St. Petersburg and I'm 27. I learned in St. Petersburg State Institute of Cinema and Television 10 years ago. I left it and learned a year in Free University Russian, a course about early Russian cinema. I'm trying to write, I'm trying to film, I'm trying to, as everyone in St. Petersburg, you know. I've learned to, I studied sign directing, and so that's why thanks a lot of your great English pronunciation, Pavel. Yeah. About the experience, I think it's time to remind the time of phone modems and early forums and some things like that. The download manager, and it was very interesting time. VHS and something like that. I used to visit the cinema theaters from 7th or 8th class of school, and I tried to watch the 35mm film copies in them. It was great, and I tried to visit cinema clubs. They are still alive. This time it's great. For many years, and I tried to reflect and to think about the viewer experience in home, where I watched the digital copy on DVD, from VHS, from video rip, and something like that. In cinema, from 35mm copy in local small cinema, the large screen copy from 35mm print or digital copy. That's why I think if the cinema is good and the copy is well work, your imagine will be good and will be tasty. Yeah. I watched Bronenосец Potemkin and In Home from good Blu-ray rip, and it was the feeling like I watching the 35mm copy that was made yesterday. Okay, and that's why I little experience at school. Where I learned to school. I first time I watched Robert Bresson four nights of the Dreamer in Brother Lumiere Club in St. Petersburg in bad quality, and it was really blur, unfocused image, and it was really great. It was really the great film, and my great the point of view and the great history. I think this about the quality is if the film was well imaged, you paid attention to screen images and the narrative, it will be your experience on that. It may be great in every situation of the view. That's it.
Thank you very much, Oleg. Thank you very much for your story. And it's so fascinating that, well, you are so far the second person, at least, who's mentioning, well, the same places and the same practices that I was part of years ago. I was also going to Rodina Kino, as Slava said, Rodina Cinema. I also attended those Brother Lumiere's film club in St. Petersburg, and more than that, I just remember that I think well, the DVD rental that I mentioned, well, probably some of you know of it. Well, the one located in Rubinsteiner Street, the Illusion rental. This was my, kind of a starting point where you can find something really, really rare and get a very serious recommendation from the person working there. So, well, I really, really appreciate that time. Anya, I saw you wanted to share something.
I have some question for Oleg at first. What film club do you mean in St. Petersburg?
I mean Petersburg Kino Film Club in Filmofon Theater on Piskarevsky 32. I mean Brother Lumiere that was based on Litany Prospect, across the Litany and Nevsky, and some the cinema club of serial cinema club was in Druzhba and in the Nevsky cinema theaters, and it placed that time. This time it's still alive, and many maybe what is not club but an underground cinema named the Cinema Without Corn, yeah, on Belinsky Street, or something like the place, something like that. Art places, the cinemas, state cinemas, underground cinemas, and so on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
If you share your list of film club in St. Petersburg for us, maybe some of us also in St. Petersburg, and if it can be useful for them.
Yes, of course, but I need the Google Doc or the email of the moderator on some things like that. Yeah, I can send you.
Pasha, I can share my email.
Yeah, sure.
We can share it from all to the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. We can share what
Once it's out there.
everyone can share whatever they remember. Right. Anyone else would like to join us? Because well, we can proceed or see if anyone else would like to say a few words. Svetlana, Polina, Kirill.
I can be
Ksenia?
brief.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kirill. So I'm a film historian. Until recently, I was a film critic, but now I write reviews on modern films very rarely, mostly on old Soviet stuff. And so the starting point of my movie loving was, I guess, VHS rental as well in 90s. I really skipped the DVD rental era. I don't know why. Surprisingly, I really haven't done it. So I think in my case, the love for cinema, I don't know, started from the torrents mostly because I loved old movies and I still love them, and it's hard to get them anywhere else. I think it's the cheapest and fastest way to embrace this heritage of old movies. So yeah, but on the other hand, I actually really admire going to cinema, and if there is a chance, there is a possibility to go and watch something on a big screen, I'd love to do it. So because I guess for me it's just easier to concentrate, to focus on the film, because at home I'm always distracted with something and doing simultaneously various things, so it's hard to concentrate and dig into the film. So that's my brief introduction. I don't know.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. Anyone else who hasn't had a chance to speak would like to share their story?
Hi, my name is Mikhail. I'm also a film critic and a film journalist. I know some people here. Hi everybody else too. So I guess, yeah, it was the same for me. Starting point was VHS rentals. The DVD rentals, actually, they were kind of simultaneous. That's why everybody skipped them. It was like a very short period, for a year maybe. They transitioned it to DVDs and then went away. I guess what I really missed about movie going, like to the cinema theaters, is the audience, because it's I noticed here that it's quite a different atmosphere there, because the audience itself makes it easier for you to get what director wanted to say, like the funny moments are funnier, the scary moments are scarier, things like that. So that really works better. And I guess lately it's been very difficult for me to get out of home, and cinema's another reason to go somewhere relatively cheap. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else?
I have the next question for Yana, Slava, and Pasha, and maybe other participants. Are you visit film rent service in your countries? Is it still exist?
Well, I can start and say a few words. Well, I don't think it exists, to be honest. I think you can still buy DVDs somewhere. Yeah, I'm based in the UK right now, so that's probably important to mention. But yeah, you can still buy DVDs, like cheap DVDs in markets, I guess, and also very expensive, high quality Blu-rays and DVDs from big companies. And that's actually a topic we can switch a little bit later to. But generally, I think people either watch films in the cinema or with, I don't know, with the streaming services, whether they are legal or illegal. So not in this country, as far as I'm aware, people use rental services anymore.
Do they still have HMV in the UK?
Sorry, say again.
Do they still have HMV in the UK?
HMV, what do you mean by that?
It was a chain of stores which sold DVDs, like
Oh yes, it exists.
lots of them.
Yeah,
and books
They also sell
also.
DVDs. Yes, true. Yeah.
There is a great story which like lies behind this brand, because it stands for His Master's Voice. And if you look at the poster, there is a dog listening to, so it's like there is a great story behind it. Oh, by the way, my name is Svetlana. So I'm an emerging visual artist and film director. And my true passion for films has started just recently when I was thoroughly researching some archives of documentary films. And this is what I'm really keen on doing. I'm really keen on watching some films which maybe not seem to be quite popular now, but there are some archives when you can find them and you can see some trends, or you can even try to follow them. Yeah, so that's my passion now. I usually find films on archives. Yeah.
Thank you.
Svetlana, what archives do you mean? I'm very interested.
Oh, so for example, like the most popular one, which I watched there, like I think if not dozens, maybe hundreds of films. The most popular one, Art Dog Fest. Yes, so it's like
a great one.
Yes, or there was another project. It's been closed. I checked it recently. It's called Pilgrim. Yeah, I really like that, but unfortunately, I don't know why it's been closed.
Thanks.
Oleg, I see your hand.
Yeah, I know something about rental in Russia. That's that is a stream to recreate or to restore the and to remind the 90th years era of video rooms. It sounds like video salon in Russia, yeah. And I know one or two places in St. Petersburg that have these places, and they have communities and visitors that would really wanted to make this expression from that time, and they use the rental, yeah, and so on. In Filmophone, it was many years for many years the remote of 35mm copies, but it was 10 years ago. Now they have changed the technical equipment, and I don't know how many times how long it was working. I don't know really. Maybe it closed. That's all.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, I would like probably to redirect our conversation from this nostalgic tone to a different aspect of the whole big problem, and ask you another question in terms of how these shift from VHS, DVDs, physical copies to streaming affected the industry. in different ways, in ways of its, commercial achievements, and also its visual and cinematic experiments. Has anything changed film-wise? Hope it does make sense.
We can maybe start this part of our conversation with the fact that Netflix ended its DVD business yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I've seen a tweet with the one question: does anyone rent DVD in 2023? And I think that this in this way the changes are dramatic, but I think that we haven't seen all of them. We can see these changes only from the distance, only when these changes are being zoomed out, maybe. And I think that the film industry has changed in two ways. The first way was some independent movies or some movies from not major studios get the attention they deserve due to some algorithm or something like that. And when on the other hand, on the flip side of this process, we can see some globalized approach of these studios, and when they try to upholster these local specifics and local peculiarities. And I think that if it's not a Marvel film, it has to be very digestible, I think. That's so to sum up, we can witness some from the one hand some long tail process when some little films or independent films gets attention of the audiences, and from the other hand we can see some triumphs of major studios or some streaming giants like Netflix to adhere to this, to appropriate all these local peculiarities and sell them globally.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, if I forget the sense of what you're saying, I think I would probably add like one more thing to it, that streaming services, starting from Netflix, I guess, they within this transition into streaming platform services, they sort of begin instruments of globalization, and thus really change the industry within it, right? How do you think? Well, has it actually affected approach to not really making film, but well, approaches to film? Because has it pushed directors to experiment with genres, or I don't know, with filmic devices?
I guess maybe some author directors have managed to get bigger budgets, and there's just a lot of money in it, so there is more diverse work and more art films, though they aren't really shown at the cinemas anywhere. But maybe in that regard, in that.
Yeah, you're right. I just remember that, well, many directors really released their films only on streaming services like Netflix, including Martin Scorsese and many other big directors. Not even, well, releasing them on big screens. So it really changed. It really changed the situation. Alec, what would you like to say? I can see your hand.
Yes, but it will be the long answer because I'm know something. Because I know something about that. I'll try to make a long story short. This is the strange situation because on one hand we had mobile phone directors, GoPro directors, digital camera registrator directors, camera view directors, and something like that. On one other hand, on other hand, we know about big cameras on IMAX production and Spielberg, Tarantino, who filmed on 70 millimeters or 35 millimeters only without digital, and to make prints on Kodak only. Yeah. And in the middle of it, there's some people who wanted to make a documentary movie on small cameras, on pocket that was placed in the palm, yeah, or to make a movie on small film cameras like on Minima and some things like that, to make on Bolex 18 millimeters, on Super 8 millimeter, and so on. That's really the stream and vintage era. But it will be represent on the Vimeo and YouTube sources. All of this, all of these things, all of this production, or on the screens of computers, of the mobile phones and smartphones, and so on. It's funny, I think.
Yep, thank you very much. Would anyone else like to react to Alec's point, or generally just share their opinions on these changes?
I agree with Alec. It's really funny. When I filmed my first short, I spent a lot of money for the quality. And when the pandemic started, I really interested, will be this film once will be shown on the big screen or not. It's a really good quality, and why I spent so many money for this film. I'm lucky my film was shown on a big screen, but often in smartphones. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, as film critics, film historians, Kirill, Mikhail, would you like to comment on that?
On what exactly?
On this transition within the film industry, how it affected the industry in all senses.
I guess it's expanded and at the same time, I guess there are a lot of there is too much content, and even the good one doesn't stop being looked at as a good one, because there is a lot of good stuff there, and it just become a bit repetitive, I guess. Like a lot of films and TV series made in the same manner. And since the people who are making them are usually talented and professional. It's a good quality, so you still watch it, but it has lost some of the spark, I guess, because it's become, another something. Yeah, and it used to be the same before, but now it's a different quantity, I guess. Like there are 20 TV series like Breaking Bad, 20 TV series like Riverdale or something, and it's there's too much, It looks like it's become more diverse, but at the same time it's less diverse because the numbers are different. But the general quality of, I guess, has risen up greatly in all the genres, like art films, documentaries, TV series. So, but yeah, VHS rentals times were better. It had more surprises. But
Yeah, I agree.
for an industry, it's a very healthy thing, I guess.
Yeah, for me personally, the abundance of this series and services really made me to maybe lose a sparkle, to when you approach to a new series, you actually really know what it will suggest to you, and so yeah, I always return to the old stuff.
That's the most reliable one. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Mhm.
I just, when asking this question, I was thinking of probably the most obvious and direct examples of those, streaming platform experiments when they were trying to incorporate your computer experience into film, and all those screen capture horrors and how do you describe this, God? This variability of the narrative, when you can choose what's going to happen next within the series, as it happened with the Black Mirror. The number of those experiments, or rather devices, is anyway still limited, and in this perspective, these are just ways to attract the audience to the new production, whereas exactly the spark is still getting lost.
It's more like a marketing
Yeah.
device. It doesn't really anything.
Okay. Would anyone else who hasn't had a chance to speak?
I would like to add something about the documentary streaming. I think that was the best thing ever done for documentaries, that they are available on the streaming services. Otherwise, you can never watch some documentaries. It's just festival thing. It's not about wide screening. It's just really specific something, not for wider audience that could be interesting. It's a pity though, but with the streaming services, it's like a safe for this industry. You can find really almost not it's still developing. I think it could be better than it is now, but it's really cool.
Thank you very much. I totally agree with documentaries. This is a very small niche of cinema that is hardly available without streaming services these days. But if you know of any online platform, because I do know about Art Dog Fest, of course, and their great archive. Do you know of any other? Yeah, of course, and on Netflix we can find lots of documentaries. But do you know of any other streaming services where you can watch like a more global documentaries?
There are plenty on Criterion
Oh yeah.
collection, streaming, but this is mostly
Well,
the
the
old
contemporary.
ones.
Oh,
But
right. Mhm.
but yeah, they have some modern films, well, this from big directors,
Mhm.
so you can watch something there.
Pilgrim Fund.
I remember somebody mentioned that Pilgrim unfortunately closed down some
Yeah.
time ago.
Really so?
Yes.
Bad.
Yeah.
Such bad news.
Yeah.
It was a really good source.
That's why I mentioned
Oh.
actually that it has some potential to develop a little bit further, because it's just started, I think, during the pandemic mostly.
Mhm.
And there are no so globalized streaming services for documentaries, but I think it will be there in some years.
Yeah, yeah. Moving on to maybe a very niche question in this perspective, but many big companies, many big studios, in fact, still keep on producing Blu-rays and DVDs and sell them for very big money when you go to big record shops like HMV, or I don't know, if you go to any film institutions, you can find them everywhere. What are the let's say the advantages of hard copies over streaming services, if you think there are any?
There is only one, I guess, at the time, the extras, and the Criterion, of course, is a league of its own.
Mm-hmm.
They have, I managed to subscribe to their streaming channel, but it's completely different from what they offer on Blu-rays and DVDs.
Mhm.
That it's very limited. So I guess if we talk about like some special features and old films, DVD, Blu-rays, and probably DVDs, I'm not sure if they are widely sold now, but there are more. There is more to that, I guess, still, but it should be some definite ultimate and so on editions in order to be different from the streaming services, because the languages are not a problem anymore. So it has always been the extras and the languages. Now streaming have the languages, so. But physical copy is always nice to hold on to.
Okay. Yep. Vlad, would you like to?
I can add some maybe other thing about owning a physical copy, and if this fact helps you to save film, for example, a film or a documentary from a censorship, because you can see movies on streaming services, but streaming services, especially Russian streaming services, now under the pressure of some law and legislation, some legislation about minorities and something like that. So if you own a book, or if you own a physical copy of a movie, you can save this film for yourself, of course, but you will always have an access to this film. And so.
I have no physical copies, but I have 5 or 6 subscriptions on streaming service. And my next question about how much subscriptions do you have, and what for all of us? Pasha, do you have BFI subscriptions?
I had one, to be honest. I had one last year, but I hardly had time to watch BFI because I preferred to. Well, that time I was watching mostly Mubi and Classici online, so I did not update the next year subscription. So probably these two I still use. Yeah, nothing more than that. I don't even use Netflix, to be honest, because I use I pirate. I have to admit that. And I watch if I watch a series or like a big Netflix, a big streaming service like Netflix production, I usually stream these films or series from pirate app, and it works. So at least 2 services for now.
How do you think, is it ideal film archive or film streaming for old and classic cinema? Is it possible to make this question for all of us? Is it possible to make a huge and big streaming service for all classic films, or we still must use 5 or 6 or 10 different streamings?
Well, do you mean, well, if it's possible to combine
Yes,
all different sorts of cinema in one universal
in one place, yes,
one streaming platform where you can watch classical and contemporary films? Well, it's a big question. Well, of marketing, I guess, and how you attract your audience. I don't think I actually know of any streaming services that combines films of that variety. Of course, Netflix is trying to upload more and more older films, but well, not all of them are like old 1920s classics. But yeah, well, it's a good question. Oleg, Vlad, what would you like to say?
I can add to this. I can answer to this question because in Russia we have some half-legal service called Kino-Pub, and they have all these new TV series and old films, old documentaries, of course. But seeing that this service is half-legal, I suppose it's not a perfect question. It's not a perfect. It cannot be a perfect answer to these universal streaming services. But this service is approaching this state. That's it.
Sorry, I did. What service?
Kino-Pub.
I'm not quite sure if it's half legal. I think it's illegal, mostly. But yeah, I'm aware of it. Yeah, it's a good one. Oleg?
This is a big problem, that we have too much content in our time. Too much content. And terabytes and terabytes and bigger and bigger and bigger. But one small, and we have no our sources, and we have no our archives. I can pay for the things I have to download because I have no free enough money to pay, and there's no path to pay from Russia there. And it's the only way to watch things now. If there's a database like IMDb on with sheets of the title, you know the titles of the technical equipment that was used the cinema group, but the main portal of all of like totalitarianistic idea. I think it should be some not extraordinary sources, but they must work at 100%, and that is all. I think it's not possible to to make this digital collection as you want.
Yeah, it's quite hard indeed. I just wanted to add.
I just want to add that I think that some aggregator that provides access to all streaming services at once is probably a very good idea, but a service that provides access to all the content that there is, it raises a question: what is streaming service? Is it just database where you can search what you're interested in, or are there curators, other professionals who create the streaming service, who choose content, who help some people, who guide them maybe in some direction that a lot of people don't like, so they find another streaming service. Sometimes it intersect, but aggregator that can be like Google for all the Amazon, Netflix, and other streaming services. I think it's a great idea, and I'm pretty sure that someone is working on that, if it hasn't been done already. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I agree with Galia. I like streaming era, really like streaming era, because some project films and series was not possible before, was not possible in the past time. For example, our flag means that project about LGBT plus and so on and so on.
Just coming back to the question of getting your own archive, or maybe creating your own archive. I just had an idea of us film historians working with old film that, well, I prefer to, of course, collect and download on my hard drive without having a chance to lose it, because you work with those films and it's very hard to get them. Sometimes you get them from state archives, you get this digitized copy. Sometimes you get them through friends, and it's really hard to find them. So some of the films, indeed, I do have a physical copy of. This probably isn't the best solution and not the best quality, but this is something you definitely have to have. And I think, film historians and film critics in this meeting do understand me.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand you.
Yeah.
I relocate to Germany in the next month, and before this time, I want to make my own film collections and download all films.
All films. That sounds quite optimistic. All films. Okay.
All films from torrent.
Yeah, I don't think me particularly. I'm not. I don't need this big global universal streaming service, I guess. But really, one streaming service with archive Soviet films.
Absolutely.
I mean, the one from Argakov in particular, because when I studied some Soviet documentaries of 1940s, many of them are still there and are not, on the web. So you just need to go there to watch them actually. So yeah, it will be great, but for me, I mean, for 5 people in the world, film historians. So yeah, that's the problem for us, but not for vast majority of people.
But I'm not quite sure if it really works for this sort of events, but there are, of course, many archive film festivals, and I wonder if that would be possible for them to not just show them in person in their cities, like in Italy, or actually I think there is an upcoming festival here in London, and there is a festival called Film on Film, and I wonder what sort of festival it is. I haven't actually checked what that is. And I wonder if that would be possible for them to upload those films that they show to people online and make them available, because that would be a great source. We know that they usually show some really rare copies of either newly restored or newly found films, and it's usually very hard to get them, of course.
Yeah, before the war, the Kiev's Dovzhenko Center Film Archive, they uploaded many animations from 1920s, but for some little time, you know, for a week or two, then you had this opportunity to watch them. So and then they disappeared. I don't know what was the case, but for me it was horrible. You know, this practice, it's just pity to lose them. Because you actually, nowadays, I mean, the film scholars, they need to watch it and rewatch the films, because you can read, I mean, in the past, books on films, you can see that people watched it only once, and something, you know, disappeared from them. They just didn't notice something, or because today you just need to rewatch it all the time to completely dig into, you know. So this particular services could be very useful and helpful for scholars.
And many film archives have had YouTube channels. I always use it in my practice when I tell about film history. And you don't tell about your streaming subscriptions. How much subscriptions do you have? It's very interesting. I have 5 or 6 Apple, Netflix, of course, and some Russian services, Oka, Kinopoisk, Ivi, and Star. It's too much.
It's really hard to prioritize them, really, because well, it's really easy to get them, and they're, well, mostly accessible. I understand, well, within Russia, it's harder now with, well, getting access to them, but, well, generally they are accessible, but there's too much content indeed. Just like Oleg mentioned previously, yeah, it's really hard to prioritize and choose. That's the problem of today. Yeah, guys, well, what sort of subscriptions do you have? What sort of streaming services are you using?
Maybe somebody have not subscriptions. It's very interesting.
I don't have any subscriptions.
Wow.
To any streaming services. And I don't view it as a good thing, because it's not because I'm not interested in any of it. It's because it looks like I feel like I would have to do a lot of research and a lot of research before choosing subscription, and it would be too much content in my Gmail account. And I generally feel like I'm a little bit overwhelmed with everything you can do in the internet, not only film-wise, but in general. And to me, it feels similar with the way I feel right now seeing memes about ChatGPT. and I feel like I need to I need to do this research, and this is all very similar to me, even though I am still a very young person who should be able to acquaint herself with everything that's going on in the internet. So yes, I don't have any subscriptions, and I do pirate sometimes, but after pandemic, I started going to the movies again, and it's very different from experience I had there before pandemic, mostly because I usually went only to Mirage Cinema on Petrogradskaya, where I live, and I refuse to leave Petrogradka. And right now Mirage has been renovated and it became very expensive. They charge for movie tickets as if it was a theater tickets, and they do pirate and they charge a lot of money for this, so it's very questionable. But there's also a film nearby where you can watch a variety of movies, and it became a very different experience from how it was before. So yes, I don't have any subscriptions. Thank you.
Sounds like a really unique case. Okay. Anyone else does not have any subscriptions? Or maybe you want to share those that you have?
This is actually a problem I face all the time, because as soon as some series get released, I immediately subscribe to some platforms and I forget about any subscription. So next month I get a notification that I was charged some money, and that's how I remember, oh yeah, I was subscribed to these or that. And yeah, and it can last for months, because I'm not really picky about subscriptions. I just subscribe to watch some particular film or series, and that's it. I'm not really happy about having subscriptions in general, but if it's needed, I do it. Yes, I can pay for that, but to watch it once, not to do it on a regular basis. And yeah, that's how it happens. And this is a good gimmick, which they do all the time. Like, give us your credit card details and your email, and we'll do the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, Kirill, you were about to say something.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I had many streaming services, purchased many subscriptions. I mean, in Netflix, Apple, and other stuff, because I had time to watch, you know. So, but in 2022, I just lost interest in it, and I lost subscriptions as well. So now I don't use it actually, any of it, but I guess I have still Kinopoisk because they gave it to me for free, and I guess I have it still have it. So yeah, I think I recently just don't use it anymore. Very rarely. Mhm.
Okay, Mikhail, would you like to share your subscriptions?
I do use them, but it's more like I actually like streaming services for TV series, because I don't like downloading all the episodes and so on. And it's useful for sitcoms. I relax when I watch sitcoms, so it's good to have one of the mainstream subscriptions like Disney Plus or Netflix. But if we talk about old movies, I guess it's always easier for me to just use torrents and download anything, like to see if they have director's commentary and things like those, because all the mainstream streaming services don't usually have anything, you know, out of mainstream from the 80s or 70s mainly. So if, or some national films, like even British films are difficult to find anywhere. So yeah, I have Kinopoisk, but I have always had it because it's like it's left from the job. Yeah, I tried Criterion, but I watched there like 2 movies a month, or maybe 1 movie a month, so it stopped being, you know, a nice investment, I guess. Good investment. So yeah, torrents.
Okay, anyone else would like to say a few words about that? Someone who didn't have a chance to speak. I see there's Ksenia, Nadia, Polina. Would you like to say a few words, or you prefer to stay silent? That's okay if you don't want to speak. Okay.
What about physical screenings in film theater? For example, I live in Kazakhstan, in Almaty, and here is a huge problem with old film theater. I hate multiplex, and this is why I would not go to. I don't like multiplex, and this is why I did not go to the cinema. How do you still see the film in film theater after pandemic and 24 February and so on and so on?
If you don't mind, well, I would probably redirect your question in a more pessimistic way, if you mind, because I was about to ask everyone about, well, especially those who are now in Russia, how do you think, or well, speaking generally, actually, how do you think the film screenings generally, and yeah, film screenings, we're talking about that specifically, so let's not go too broadly into this question. So how do you think, since the start of the war, throughout 2022, 2023, the situation has changed with screenings, and how will it develop, if it will, or it will go any, well, will it go any, well, I'm not about to say better, of course. Well, it doesn't. It's not going to get better. But what is going to happen? What do you think? What are your visions of that? If you don't mind, Anya, redirecting this question into a more in a certain way. Do you think people would prefer to switch to only torrents or streaming services, or people would still go to the cinema? Yep.
I think that people will watch films at home, and I think that even though some great or big releases are about to be shown, people will prefer to use illegal services or legal services or something like that, like Kinopop, as I said before, to watch what they want to watch, not what the state compels them. So I think that it's that the personal that the room, the flat, the home is maybe the the last remaining opportunity to be maybe free in your choices. That's sad, but that's a reality we live in.
So, well, just following up your point, do you yourself go to the cinema these days?
No. After I maybe the last year I've never been to the cinema since maybe the 2022, the February of 2022, and maybe and interesting that I don't know how they show movies and movie theaters and how they position their product, and that's it. I prefer to watch movies at home on my TV screen.
Yeah, thank you.
I agree with this tendency. I think it's will develop, will continue developing in this direction. Before pandemic, and where I used to go into movie theater and just see what is on today. Like maybe I will see something that I would like to see. It starts in an hour. That's great. I will go to the movies right now. Selection has changed a lot. And every time I see a movie in the theater, it's an event, it's an act, it's an event, and it's not part of everyday life. It's something that I plan, it's something that I research, it's something that I find out about from the internet, and I research and I go there pre-planned. And I think that this tendency is alienating a lot of people who used to go to movies a lot before pandemic. But also in Moscow there is Illusion, and how are things with this theater now? I always used to envy people who live in Moscow for this only one thing, because you have Illusion, and it's not the only thing you have. Of course, we do have a film, but it's a little bit different.
It's very much different. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
So how is it going?
People from Moscow, tell us how it's going.
I believe Kirill should know something about this.
Yeah, I always go to Illusion. That's the good place, really. So you can envy me.
I do.
We do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Has it changed?
Not really. It's still they still give you movies, so some events, festivals. I was I guess it was in November or December. Then it was Archive Festival from that Gosfilmofond organized. So that was great. Actually, I really loved it to watch this strange silent movies for 3 or 4 hours with actually very big audience. I mean, almost full. It was almost full. Crowd of people who watched it, and it was a bit strange to watch a big, really silent movie. So this experience is great. So it's really wonderful, and I liked it. But I actually haven't been to this multiplex or big cinemas for quite some time. I watched Avatar 2 in Armenia actually in January. Yeah, so it was official, I didn't do piracy. So yeah, that was funny. That was one time. Yeah.
I have a question to Anna. As I clearly understood, you mean that in Almaty there are no cinemas like Rodina or Dom Kino, just multiplex.
Oh, no. Yeah, in Almaty, all film theater exist, but it's not good. It's very awful sound, and it's not like Rodina or Dom Kino or Illusion. It's modern renovation, and it's not good because it's make screenings, it's make visiting or screenings is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Popcorn, Coca-Cola. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And some films, old film theater was destroyed or renovated. It's look not good for me. It's problem not only film theater. It's about all architecture. It's all buildings which made in 15th or 16th.
Okay.
It's not good. There is no restoration. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think,
for example, Art Dog Fest here in Almaty, the manager and or committee who makes this festival, they could not find a good place for film screenings. It was very strange place in the underground, in the ex-бомбоубежище. It was very experience. It was all independent theater, and it's a problem. Almaty is very beautiful city, but it's problem with film theater or old buildings in this place.
Okay.
and was the situation with smaller cinemas in Germany?
Excuse me, I will have to interrupt you and excuse myself, and I will watch Jana's answer in recording because I have to teach class in half an hour or so.
Yeah.
And also I forgot to introduce Annalise, who is a facilitator on these regularly scheduled meetings, and she is also curator of a film journalism course in our school. And if you don't mind, you will receive an email after this where I will ask for your feedback or whether you would like to join us on a regular basis, and any feedback about this event will be greatly appreciated. So thank you and have a nice rest of the meeting.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're about to wrap up. Yeah, we're about to finish. Yeah.
Yeah. For example, in Berlin, there are very different cinemas, multiplex and individual, exclusive, like Rodina and so on. In Bonn, we live in Bonn, and I think we have one like Rodina, probably.
But it's very poor.
Filmbühne, yeah. It's like pure cinema. It's like Rodina, I think. Yeah.
They give 3 or 4 films per day, and it's like they choose these 4 films for a month or for 2 months, and they just show only these 4 films, and it's very depressing.
It's a good films.
As for the place where I live in Cambridge, and there are only, well, there is a chain of cinemas, but unfortunately no smaller cinema where you can watch only old classical films. I know that in some places there are, like in London, of course, there are many smaller cinemas where you can watch only classical films, but well, this could be films from, I don't know, mid 20th century or 1920s. They're really various. But I have to admit that even the chain that I usually go to, it's called Picture House, it sometimes organizes curated programs. And well, the last I attended was Weimar Cinema. Nothing really special. I mean, well, these are quite obvious films that you, well, people who work with cinema have seen many times, but it was very nice to see Metropolis and other 1920s films on big screen. I'm afraid I will have to to wrap up, and I have to thank everyone for joining us today and to be so active during our meeting. As Galia mentioned, you will receive an email, and also I would like to say that I usually make notes during the meeting, and it doesn't mean that I will only correct mistakes and write down things related to your speech, but rather make lists of words that I later publish as sort of a list of notes. So I will try to speak to Galia to make it possible and available to those who attended the meeting afterwards. So if you have any questions or any feedback, please do reach us. So far, I would like to thank everyone and wish you a really nice day today. So yeah, it's still afternoon. It was lovely to see you.
Thanks. That was great.
Thanks a lot. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.